My name is Yusuf. I have a content agency called Tilted Needle. We're currently doing just over £450,000 a month in revenue. And we're operating at a very profitable rate of around 75%, depending on the month. I started offering these services 3 years ago. For the first year, I was basically a freelancer. I wasn't taking it too seriously. By the end of year one, I got a business partner. We turned this into a serious business, a serious agency. We started scaling, and today, 2 years later, we have about 50 team members. I get to fly around the world, experience the craziest shit, and make content for people worth hundreds of millions of dollars and billionaires. And in this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know, whether you're just starting out, you want to start an agency, you have a small agency, you're a freelancer, you're doing 5, 10K a month, or you're even doing up to 50K a month, and you want to take it to the next level, find those whale clients, make more money, and do it more efficiently. This video is for you. But before I get into it, guys, I want to explain something. I wasn't always in this situation. I left school at 16, and from 16 to about 22, I was a bum. I was working, grilling chicken in Nando's, working in a hotel for minimum wage. I was a kid at the time and the jobs weren't too bad. But when I got slightly older, I realized that I was basically depressed and I needed to do something with my life. And that's when I started doing this. And I'm happy to say today, a lot has changed. So let's jump into it. This video is an 11-step roadmap, including everything I wish I knew before I got started. It took me 2 years of trial, errors, and mistakes to learn these lessons, but I'm giving it to you guys for free in this video here because why not? I wish I had this type of resource. When I started, I would have made money a lot quicker. Step number 1, what do you need? Let's start with the equipment. It's very straightforward. You actually don't need that much crazy equipment. All you need ideally is an iPhone, a decent pair of mics, and a cheap tripod you can get on Amazon for about £10. You don't need an iPhone to start, you can use any smartphone, but we've tested and we prefer the iPhone as it gets more views and generally generates a cleaner image, which is more social media friendly. You can also use a professional camera, but we advise against this because if you use a camera, the video will get less views. We found this out by testing thousands of videos over the last 2 years and coming up with a certain formula. And what we realized is that with a camera, when something is professionally filmed, people are automatically way less receptive to it because no one wants to be sold to online. People scroll social media for entertainment or to learn something. They hate being sold to. Nobody is scrolling TikTok to be sold to. So once they see a professionally filmed video, automatically their guard is up. They start thinking, why is this video being filmed professionally? What is this person trying to sell me? Some clients do request that the content is shot on a professional camera. If they do that, we tell them we don't recommend that. And if they still insist, we'll do it. But 98% of the content we make is shot on an iPhone. You might be thinking, I'll never be able to get a client to pay me 10K, 50K, £100,000 a month by filming on an iPhone. But you'd be shocked at how easy it is. When you get to this level, you realize the camera quality is not that relevant. There's lots of different factors that the clients actually care about. And one of the main ones being the results. So whatever you do to get them results is how you get them to pay you these amounts and how you retain them. It's funny, I've personally been in situations where I'm working with a company and another big traditional marketing agency will come in with 4 or 5 people, big professional cameras, one retard there holding the light, and they'll make a piece of content that gets 4,000 views. Whereas I'll come in with an iPhone, shoot content that gets tens of millions of views and results in generating millions of dollars for that client. But also you have to think about it. We're quite lucky that in today's day and age, we have the tools, no matter who you are, to go out and compete with the world's biggest marketing firms just by using your phone. And actually what you do can be way more effective than what they can try and do with clients. So that gives you a lot of leverage. When it comes to which iPhone to use, we suggest the latest model. But obviously not everyone has that, so the latest 3 models is more than okay. And again, the general rough order of filming equipment, you should prioritize filming with the latest iPhone. If you don't have that, you can use any other iPhone. If you don't have that, you can use any other smartphone. And if you don't have that, you can then use a camera. We've tested a lot of mics and we found that the best and most reliable ones are these, the DJIs. As you can see, they're about $150. Having said that, you don't have to get these. You can get cheap mics for $20, $30 on Amazon. But if you can afford this in your budget, definitely get these ones. They give you a lot of flexibility with the settings. The quality is great and they're super versatile. They have lots of great features. One thing that we realized after making a few hundred videos was the importance of audio. When you're watching a video, most people don't realize that the audio is literally 50% of the experience. I realized this by editing content because the top half of the track is for visual stuff and the bottom half of the editing track is for audio, and both of those tracks are the same size. That means they're equally as important. And when you watch a video with shit audio like this right now, it's very difficult to watch, right? But when you have nice clean audio like it is now, it's a lot easier to watch and easier to consume. So clean, clear audio is essential. It's very, very important and it's super underrated. When you're making content, you want to have the best audio possible because that just means the person watching it will be able to consume the content in a clearer way. They'll enjoy it more and it's just a better viewing experience, which means they'll watch the video for longer and it will get more views. One key thing with audio is when you're filming outdoors, it might be windy and the wind messes up the audio. So what you need is this small thing here. It's called a dead cat, and essentially it's just a little fluffy thing that you can then clip onto the top of your mic. And that means outdoors, no matter how windy it is, if you have this on the mic, your audio will still stay very clear. I actually like using them indoors as well, because in rooms with echo, it just makes the audio slightly cleaner. A lot of the content we film is our clients driving their hypercars or on yachts or speedboats, or just generally outdoors with a lot of wind. So this one small piece of equipment that costs, I think, $2-3 turns that audio super clean and crispy. And yeah, it's a bit of a hack. So if you have mics and you're filming outdoors and it's going to be windy, definitely have this on you. Well, to be honest, you should have these 3 pieces of equipment on you wherever you go. If you have these 3, that is basically all you need to make great content. If you buy these DJI mics here, these dead cats actually come with them. They also come with a little magnet that allows you to clip the mic onto somebody's shirt like this. And a little hack is doing this inside out so you can only see the magnet and not the mic. That just looks a bit cleaner depending on the situation. Next up is a tripod. All you need is a little $10-15 tripod from Amazon. A lot of the content we film with our clients is simple talking heads. So that means they sit down, they're talking to the camera or to somebody else for prolonged periods of time, or they could even be on the phone. And we mic them up, set up the tripod, and we get lots of nice clips that way. So having a tripod is not completely essential because in that situation you could technically just hold the camera, but when you use a tripod it allows for the footage to be cleaner. When you cut the clips, the camera isn't moving around too much, so the cuts are more smooth and less noticeable. And yeah, having a tripod is nice as well. So I'd say essential is the phone, the most important piece of equipment, the latest iPhone, if you can get it. Then after that, a decent pair of mics. And then third is the tripod. But if you have these 3 pieces of equipment, we've used these 3 pieces of equipment to get billions of views and generate literally hundreds of millions of dollars in sales. It's crazy how powerful these tools can be if you know exactly how to use them. That's the equipment we use. Now let's move on to what softwares we use in our agency. As you can see here, we primarily use, there's 4, but it's actually 3 pieces of software. First is Monday.com. Monday is a software that we use to track the funnel of production. So when you're creating content, you're actually producing film or producing videos. And in production, there's a funnel from idea to it being published online. There's a few more steps after, but let's just, for the sake of this example, take those 2 steps. Idea to it being posted. In between those 2 steps, there's multiple different things that have to be executed on. And you can make that funnel as simple and as short as possible, or as long, complicated and comprehensive as possible, depending on what you're producing. As you can see, we keep it quite short in our agency. Once we shoot, it gets uploaded into the raw footage. Then once the editor starts with it, it goes into currently in edit. After that, it gets approved internally. After that, the client approves it, and then step 4 is moving it to final post. There's step 5 here, which you can't see, which is it being posted and delivered and published. You can open up all of these steps. Like for example, you can see step 4 is open here, and then you have individual entries and you have different columns. For example, status, raw footage, to be approved link, etc. So that's what we use Monday.com for. It's really helpful in keeping track of your deliverables, what's being produced, and the entire funnel of content creation for that client. And it really helps us keep on top of all the deliveries and deliverables we've promised each client. Certain team members in our company check this multiple times a day. Certain admin people, their whole job is to live on monday.com and track each video and each entry through the different steps until it goes from idea to delivery and us being paid. This software is only a few $100s a month, but it's crazy because it helps us make millions. Moving on to the next software we use, which is Google Drive. So if you think of Monday as the software to track all the content, Google Drive is the software where it's all stored. As you can see, we have one master folder, and inside of that, each client has their own folder. If you click further into that, each client folder has multiple folders inside of it, but the main ones are raw footage, TBA, which stands for to be approved, and then final post. Raw footage is where everything is uploaded, and inside raw footage is folded by year, month, and day, and then individual video. Then TBA is each video while it's being approved internally and by the client, and once it's fully finalized and passes every QC stage, it gets moved to final post and then eventually posted. That's the rough structure we use on Google Drive. We've been using Google Drive and Monday for years, so we've come up with an exact system of the most efficient way to use these softwares to maximize speed and the money you make in your content agency. And then lastly, you need a software to edit the videos. So here there's CapCut, which you can use, or you can use Premiere Pro. It depends on what computer you have, because if you're editing on an iPhone or an iPad, you can use CapCut, or if you have a PC or laptop, you can use Premiere Pro. They're both really good softwares. Premiere Pro just gives you a bit more flexibility when it comes to editing. Traditionally, editors do use Premiere Pro as well, but they're both very good. CapCut is great because it's free. You can use it on your phone if you don't have a laptop or computer, and it's very user-friendly. If you're just starting out with editing, you can use CapCut. And think about it, guys. All you need is a phone to make money with content creation. Putting all of these softwares and pieces of equipment to the side, okay, ignore everything. If you have a smartphone, you can go film the content with the phone, download CapCut or any other software for editing on the phone, edit the content, then post it using that same phone on the client's accounts. So you've basically done all the steps with one piece of equipment, and no matter what phone you have, you can do this. So there's literally zero excuse. If you're starting from zero, all you need is a smartphone to go out and start making money by selling people content services. And it's crazy because that's literally what I did when I started out. But if you want to scale, that's when these softwares and systems really come into play and really help. For example, when you go past 2 clients. And putting all these softwares to one side, if you don't have a budget, you can use Google Excel for free to keep track of all of your different tasks and footage. So that's everything you'll need when it comes to equipment and softwares when starting or building a content agency. And to be honest, this is pretty much all we use in our agency to this day while making over £400,000 a month. Now let's move to step 2, which is filming. The filming part of things has a lot of information to it, but today I'm just going to cover basically the essentials and the basic rules that you need to follow when filming. Before we get into this next step, I have one small favor to ask of you guys. If you've been to film school, go ahead and forget literally everything they taught you, because all of that is useless information and has nothing to do with making viral content. I've seen maybe 40 different individuals come and join our company from film schools. They try and apply all these stupid rules and principles that they've learned to making content, and it always ends up horribly wrong. If you did go to film school, please forget everything you think you know, because all of that is useless. This is what you really need to learn to be able to make viral content. By the way, I'm not trying to shit on people that study film. My passion is filmmaking, by the way. But when it comes to making content, it's something very different. It's something very new. It's only been around for, let's say, 2 to 3 years. That means it's very different. When making short form content, you essentially have maximum a minute to get your message across. But when you're making a short film, you might have 20 minutes, 30 minutes. A traditional film, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours to get your point across. So filmmaking is something very different to making short form viral content. That's something you must understand if you're coming from a filmmaking background. Before we get into filming principles, you need to understand one simple thing. At all times, you will either be filming A-roll or B-roll. A-roll is very straightforward. It's when you're recording somebody directly speaking to the camera or speaking to somebody else. A good tip to know that you're filming A-roll is that you can see the person's mouth moving that's speaking. Any other situation which doesn't include you seeing the person's mouth directly on the video and you can hear what they're saying, any other shot is B-roll. So a B-roll can be somebody speaking, but you're not hearing the audio of them in that moment. That's maybe them in a meeting and you're hearing a voiceover of something else, or you're hearing music, or it can be anything else without their face, and that's a B-roll. Those are the two types of shots you'll be taking when filming. Okay, let's get into it. So rule number one, you must exist through your lens when you're filming. What does this mean? In our company, personally, we film crazy shit. I'm talking about peak human experiences. Imagine what billionaires do on their time off. Imagine somebody that has unlimited money and resources, what they would do to have fun or to let loose. These are the experiences we film. Why am I telling you this? Because often I see new members that join our team, they get quite overwhelmed. And this is relative, right? So if somebody's coming from like a small town and they go to a shoot with a Rolls Royce, they might think, wow, this is crazy. And for them, that might be really cool. For example, for us, we've become pretty desensitized to most stuff. But I think, let's say, me personally, what would amaze me now is if I were to film on the moon or if I were to go to space. Anyway, why am I telling you this? It doesn't matter which level you're at. When you start making content, you'll quickly realize that you are providing value to people who are a lot richer than you. And that means their lives are a lot crazier. So when I see people who join our company who aren't used to this stuff, I'll often see them filming like this. You know, normally you film like this, but then something crazy happens and they go up and they say, wow, and they start laughing, they start looking around, and they're not really, yes, what you're doing is crazy, and you can still be amazed at it if you're seeing it for the first time, if you're not used to it, but you must exist through your lens. So anything you would want to look at, you must see it through your lens. So naturally, if you're somewhere and you want to look to the left because Cristiano Ronaldo has just walked through the door, which by the way, I've been in this situation, you don't go like this. It's fine, look at Ronaldo, but look at him through your lens. You literally have to exist through your lens. Why is this important? Because most of our clients that are billionaires and people worth hundreds of millions of dollars don't have time to be redoing shit over and over again. So you must get it perfectly the first time. Another common one of existing through the lens is if you're filming a conversation of multiple people speaking, which you will be doing often, you can't just be filming like this and watching the conversation like this. You must watch the conversation through your lens. So whoever speaks, you look at them through your lens. And naturally, when you do this, your level of filming and what you're able to capture in different environments will go to the next level, because now you are giving the viewer the experience of witnessing what you're filming as if they're there in real life. That's essentially what people want to see when they're watching content. Honestly, I could talk about existing through your lens for another 2 hours. When it comes to filming and editing, and a lot of what we're discussing today, the nuances are infinite. We can literally talk about each point for an hour or more. But today, because there's so much to cover, I'm not going to go into so much detail. And I want to end this point by saying you cannot forget that the reason you will be in these environments with these people is because you are making content and providing them with value. So make sure that you are capturing it in the best way possible. You don't zone out or have your mind or thoughts float elsewhere. And the best way to execute on this is simply by existing through the lens in that environment. Do not use your eyes. Use that camera lens to look around and see what's happening. You're not there to have fun. You're there to do a job. And the first point I made on this topic was talking about how we witness some of the craziest shit in the world and how you will start doing the same thing if you start a content agency or if you start working with bigger clients. So you must never let that get to you. No matter how crazy the environment is, you must always make sure you are filming in a way that's on point. And the best way to do this, once again, is by existing through the lens. Point number 2, be aware of your environment. This ties into point 1, but sometimes you're filming multiple people, so it's essential that you're aware of what's going on, who's doing what, who's speaking, who's about to leave, who's about to join in the conversation, and what's about to happen. You must anticipate the environment and be aware of exactly what's going on around you. Another small example of this is I could be filming 2 people having a conversation here. Say we're in a room and I'm filming. I should be aware that somebody's just opened the door and they're about to walk in and join that situation. I must be paying full attention so that I'm ready to pan to them and film them as soon as they say something or do something. Another small tip on being aware of your environment is that when you're with clients, you're not filming the entire time. In fact, you're only filming a fraction of the time. But that means you must be fully present and aware of what that person is doing at all times. It's funny, when I do this, I kind of feel like there's security because I'm standing right by them with my phone ready. I'm just staring at them and I'm staring at the whole environment and I'm super present and locked into exactly what's happening so that at any moment, within a millisecond, because what I do is this phone's dead, but I keep the camera on, and obviously if you press the volume button on iPhone, it starts filming. So I'll keep the phone on, lock the camera on the video mode, and I'll have one finger on the volume like this. And I can just be standing naturally with my arms down like this, but literally within milliseconds, my phone can be up. I will have pressed the button while raising it and I can be filming. So I'm always fully aware of the environment and exactly what's going on at all times when I'm filming. Point 3, adding movements to your shots. This is primarily applied to B-rolls. When you're filming a B-roll, you will always want to add some sort of movement to the shot. And the most simple and effective way to do this is by having what you're shooting in frame and then slowly leaning from your left foot towards your right foot. So you shift your weight from the left side of your body to your right side. When you do that, you naturally move the camera along. For example, like this, you naturally move the camera and that creates a smooth movement. And here's an example of that. Or you can add a movement where you're panning from left to right. We usually like to do this when we want to show an environment or a room. Here's an example of that. And the last type of movement that you can add is actually not with the camera, but in post-production, in editing. It's where you add a slow zoom to a video. Here's an example of that. So these are the 3 types of movement you can apply to your video when filming B-roll. When you film A-roll, you typically won't have any movement, but you can sometimes, depending on the situation. Overall, you want to try and add as much movement as possible to your content because movement makes the video more engaging, more dynamic, less boring, and that means the video will get more views. Point 4, turn on the grid feature on your camera. With the grid feature on, you can keep the person's eye level great at all times. That means having their eyes on the first line of the frame, and you can generally see that things are symmetrical when filming and generally well framed. You can turn the grid on by going into the settings on your phone and switching it on. Almost every single phone has the capability to turn the grid on. Point 5, lighting. This is probably the most important thing when it comes to filming, and that's having the brightest light in your environment behind the camera at all times. When you're outdoors, the brightest light will be the sun. When you're indoors, it will be usually the windows or bright lights inside. When you have the brightest light behind the camera, especially on a phone, but in basically every camera, the image will be a lot cleaner and a lot more HD. You can see 2 examples here. So this room, the brightest light is the window. On the left, the camera is facing the brightest light. On the right, the brightest light is behind the camera. Point 6, keep your phone at a 90 degrees angle. When filming about 90% of what you're recording, the phone should always be up at 90 degrees. So that means it shouldn't be facing backwards and it shouldn't be pointing downwards. Always keep it at exactly 90 degrees when filming something, especially when you're filming A-roll. Point 7, maintain a loose wrist. Going back to those people that learn at film school, they're used to filming things like this, very slowly and shifting their whole body, keeping it behind the camera because they're used to filming with big cinema cameras, or that's what they assume is an effective way to film. But with an iPhone, it's completely different. Your wrist should be loose, so no matter what you're filming, you can immediately shift your phone towards it with a loose wrist and capture anything around you very quickly and very efficiently. Point 8, clean your lens. This is something very straightforward, but most people forget. When you're recording, you want to make sure that the lens on your phone or your camera is clean at all times. Naturally, because we hold our phones like this, your fingers might go over the lens, or it might get dirty when it's brushing against something or when it touches something. So before you take any shot, always make sure the lens is clean. A way you can do this is by pointing the camera towards a bright bulb or a light, and you can see any smudges that might be there. Or you can simply just look down at the lens and move the angle like this, and you can see whether it's clean or not. So I can see this lens isn't clean at the moment. So you just simply take your t-shirt, you clean it, and now it's perfectly clean. So always make sure your lens is clean before you film. Point 9, test your audio beforehand. Before you start filming, always do a quick 5-second test, making sure that the microphone is connected and sounds clean, or if you don't have a microphone, what the audio will sound like, because remember, the audio is essential. It's 50% of the video, so you must make sure you have clean audio. In many situations, we've done a great video or shoot only to find out that the audio or the mic wasn't connected during what we were filming, and it ruins all the footage. Point 10, only use the 0.5 lens in a well-lit environment. On the iPhone, you have that 0.5 lens. It's a great lens, I love using it, but I only really use it outdoors in very bright, well-lit environments. That's because if you use the 0.5 lens in a dark environment or indoors, the image will be grainy. All of these principles here are generally tailored to us getting the most HD, cleanest look from our footage when we are filming. So about 90% of the shots you take will actually be with the number 1 lens, especially the ones when you're indoors or when it's not very well lit. Point 11, when you're filming A-roll, try to get a very clean, clear shot of the person speaking. That means have their eyes on the eye line, make sure they're centered in the middle of the screen, and lastly, make sure that you're as close as possible to them. We like to say to get the belly button up. So when you're getting an A-roll, make it a nice, clean talking shot by getting belly button up only. Here's an example of that. Point 12, change your angles carefully. When you're filming, you'll naturally get multiple different angles in different shots to capture different things in your environment. That means get used to changing the angle in a nice, suitable way that you could actually include that footage in the video. Point 13, capture multiple angles and use multiple lenses. What does that mean? If I wanted to get a B-roll of this bottle, I would want to get multiple angles of it. So that means I'll film it from here, which is angle number 1. Then I can film it from here, which is a 90-degree angle from the first, and it's a different one. The third angle and the fourth, etc. You can also go, instead of going 90, which is from here to here, you can go 45, which will be from here to here. So when you're filming something in B-roll, try to get as many different angles as possible. Then another element of differentiating the shot is by changing the distance from the subject to the camera. So I can film from here to here, and then I can change the distance, which I can move back here, no matter the distance. But now all of a sudden, I've gotten 2 shots from the same angle. Then I can go from here, and here, here, and here. So when filming, you generally want to get as many different angles as possible and have the camera different distances from the subject or what you're filming to increase the variety. Also, you can change the lenses you use. Point 14, get B-rolls after filming. If I'm filming a conversation between 2 people, I'll capture that first. Once they're done, I'll get B-rolls after. This principle applies to many different situations. You always film the action first, and then once that's done, you get your B-rolls afterwards. Also, because of what you filmed and because you were paying attention the entire time, as we mentioned earlier, you will know what B-rolls you need, what was discussed and what will need to be shown in the edit. Point 15, stick to between zoom 1 and 3. If you zoom in too much on the iPhone, the quality goes down a lot, so try not to zoom in. If you do, either use the 1 lens or the 8 lens, anything in between isn't as HD. Point 16, turn off HDR. HDR is a setting that's always on iPhones, and when you import that footage onto Premiere Pro or an editing software, it looks really overexposed. I don't know the technical reasons behind it, but when you're filming on an iPhone, make sure you go into settings and turn off HDR. It will save you a lot of headache in the future. Point 17, always film in 1080. There's this misconception that you need to film in 4K. That's bullshit. 4K and 1080p on an iPhone are basically the same thing. And when you film with 1080, the footage will be a lot quicker to import, export, upload onto Google Drive and easier to deal with when you're editing. This is key, especially when you have a lot of footage for a video or a project. So always shoot your footage at 1080p, 60 FPS for short form content. For long form, you can use 4K. If your client is asking you if you're shooting 4K, just say yes, they'll never know the difference. And if any of my clients are watching this and are wondering if I shot in 4K, well, I told you at the time I'm not. Because with my clients, I don't need to lie. I tell them exactly what we're going to do in every single situation when we film. They don't have any right or opinion in what we're doing or how things are shot. but we'll talk more about this later in directing. That's essentially everything you need to know when it comes to filming. Now let's move to step 3, which is editing. A lot of people tend to overcomplicate editing a lot. Not only is it unnecessary, in fact, it's killing your views. Since we've tested thousands of videos and literally gotten billions of views organically on our content, we found that the more simple the edit is, the more views it will get. There's a whole technical, psychological, biological reason behind this, which is a very long explanation, but for the sake of this video, let's move on. So editing comes down to these simple 6 steps. If you understand these and apply these and nothing but these 6 steps to your videos, they will go viral. Point number 1, cuts. This is the first step. It's very straightforward. You want to cut out all silences in the audio track. What does that mean? When somebody is speaking, they'll naturally have some silences in between all of their words and all of their sentences. So I just did that to show you the point. A good editor will take that footage and cut out all the silences and gaps. On top of that, we aren't robots, we're humans. We sometimes stutter or misspeak. When you're cutting, you need to take out all the stutters as well. And the third point on cutting is taking out repetition. Not everybody speaks very concisely and to the point, especially if they're just new to being on camera, so they tend to repeat points over and over again. A good editor will take out all repetitions so that the point is only made once in the clearest way, and that's it. They can move on to the next point. Those are the 3 rules you need to follow for cutting. Once you've cut all the A-roll, it's time to add your B-roll. This is shots showing what people are speaking about. If I talk about a green apple, while I talk about the green apple, a B-roll of that will be shown. Step 3, sound effects. When somebody is speaking, you might want to show a pop-up or highlight a scene or something funny. For that, you can add sound effects. Step 4, pop-ups if they're needed. Step 5, adding music. If you're making short form content, even long form, you have to add music. It elevates the video to a whole new level. It highlights the emotion and the feeling of each scene and the messaging. And it makes the video more entertaining to watch for the viewer. If you're a great editor, you'll add multiple songs into a video and you'll try to change the song about every 10 to 15 seconds, but the key is changing it in a smooth way with the perfect timing. And lastly, you add subtitles or captions. This is essential. A high percentage of people that watch content watch it without the volume, so they can't hear what you're saying. That means they need to read it. On top of that, if they can hear what you're saying, they can simultaneously read the captions. The video will be easier to consume, they'll understand it more clearly, and they'll watch it for longer, which means it will have a higher watch time, which means it will get more views. And the 2 softwares you can use for editing that we recommend are either CapCut if you're a beginner or just have a phone. And if you want to take it to the next level, you can use Premiere Pro. But for that, it's best you do that on a computer or iPad. Having said that, there's hundreds of different softwares out there for video editing, so whatever works for you, you can go ahead and use that. Step 4, planning video ideas and scripts. The first thing you need to do is establish the niche of the content that you want to make. There are thousands of different niches out there, so you must identify which one you are creating content for. Once that's been established, you need to come up with content pillars. This comes down to the aim of you making content. For example, if your niche is luxury watches, what's the aim of that content? It might be to sell and buy more watches for a dealer. Then you need to come up with different pillars. Which pillars of messaging can you use to achieve the goal? If you're confused about how to do this or you're not sure, you can use AI, or you can go and see what the best accounts making content for luxury watches to sell them, what kind of pillars their content falls under, and you can replicate it. Each pillar will have a specific goal and a specific message. So if we go back to the one about watches, a goal or message you would want to give is that you're trustworthy. That could be the first pillar. The second pillar can be to show that you handle ultra luxury watches worth a lot of money and you're known for handling big transactions in that industry. And the third pillar could be that you're a go-to expert for a certain brand. So conveying that you are the industry expert leader in Audemars Piguet. Now, once we've established these 3 pillars, every piece of content that we make must fall within one of them. Next up, you need to choose a format. There's hundreds of different formats, but we use these 5. Format number 1 is skit. This is what a skit looks like.
What kind of airplanes you been flying lately?
Ultra long range. I've been doing mostly G600s, G700 the other day. I was flying on an Airbus, Boeing.
That's the smallest airplanes you've been flying in?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I only fly ultra long range.
Turn around.
Why?
Isn't this you in the photo?
What?
This is you and your father, right?
It's okay, it was a one-time trip.
You know what kind of airplane this is?
I don't know, it was a
This is
little
a
taxi
Cessna
plane.
Citation.
I was flying to the Hamptons from New York.
You take a helicopter for that trip.
I want to get there faster. It's AI, it's my twin brother. Okay, well this was offensive, you know? Okay. You guys can mock me. I'm gonna go speak to another jet. It's an AI photo. I'm sure it's AI.
It's not AI.
It's AI. It's
Come
AI.
back when you raise the money. See.
Format number 2 is a voiceover video with B-rolls. Here's an example of that.
I sell private jets, and when a client needs something, we get it done. Today, I'm flying to Switzerland to spec an aircraft that my client had just purchased. During the flight, I caught up on some emails and calls before landing. I was greeted by Bruno, who's the deputy CEO. They then took me upstairs to the interior design studio, where I met Flavia, who's the head of product development. My client had already given a clear brief of exactly what he wanted, so now it was a matter of execution. We spent the next few hours going through all the different schemes, woods, metals, leathers, and finishes. The average flight segment for a business jet of this model is between 1.5 and 2 hours. So the layout, the materials, and the colors aren't minor details. They shape how the cabin feels for the time you're in it. We then went down to the factory floor where I got to see production line firsthand. Even after 40 years in this industry, the level of precision and engineering still impresses me to this day. After everything was wrapped up, I got back onto the plane and flew straight to Stade to meet another client.
A third format is educational content. This is what that looks like.
This is a $7 million Challenger 604 jet. Let's go inside and have a look. This airplane could be anywhere from 2006 down to 1996. This jet seats 9 people. It's what you call a large cabin aircraft. The range of this airplane is 4,000 nautical miles. That gets you easy from London to Dubai or London to New York, even against the winds. And this is where the boss sits. The reason this is the boss's seat, usually they're right-handed and the controls are all on the right side. And also because the principal wants to see line of sight if they want to talk to the pilot.
Next up is a reaction video.
How much was your airplane?
Oh, dude, it's a poor person jet.
There's no such thing as a poor person's jet. There's poor people in their jets.
There's only 5 seats, one of those being a toilet.
This is a small jet, there's no question about it, but they're efficient, they're cheap to operate, they're great for getting around. It's sort of a 2-hour trip, say under 1,000 miles. Yeah, it carries 4 or 5 people. Tight, but it's what you need to get around in 1,000 miles or less.
People would stay at saying it's 5 seats and not mention the toilet part.
So what he's saying here, it is 4 seats plus a toilet. This toilet is a certified seat, so it makes it 5 legal seats. He's right. Nobody really wants to sit in that toilet seat for a regular flight, but in an emergency, if you need 5 seats in it, great. Can't carry that much luggage on it, but he's referring, I think, to an Embraer Phenom 100.
I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna have to tell this. It's nothing special.
We gotta do a fuel stop in my $3 million jet.
And then that again is embarrassing. You gotta leave that price out.
Leave that price out. The fact is, he's got his own jet, and I mean, that is a major accomplishment. He should be proud of that thing. Who's he trying to impress? He got himself some transportation. It's a fantastic piece of machinery.
What was that, bro? That's
Look
like
at that jet, bro. If you have a jet, it should be like 10.
He obviously didn't buy the jet for his ego. He probably bought the jet for his needs, which is the right thing to do.
There are many different types of formats. For example, podcast clips.
À la poubelle versus fantastique.
The rate at which we can scale our technology and have more people on the planet wearing Whoop, that I would love to see be accelerated. I think that would be fantastic.
Talking heads.
A lot of people ask me about this phone. I first found out about this phone when there was a photo leaked of the CEO of Huawei using one on a plane. And then on the 10th of September was their official announcement. It was available in China only. I contacted a few people in China. There were only 1 million units produced. All were sold out. I just let it go to the universe and figured it will come available somewhere or somehow I'll get it.
Educational skits.
Steve, what's the difference between a $1 million jet and a $100 million jet?
$99 million?
No, really, I'm dying to know.
I can show you. Have a seat. For $1 million, you can get an old Cessna Citation Mustang.
Okay, what does that look like?
Not a very big airplane. It's really efficient, but it's really small.
How small?
This small.
Well, what about a $100 million jet?
For $100 million, you get a new BBJ Max.
How long does this one fly for?
This is the range of the Mustang, and this is the range of the BBJ. There's no comparison.
Not bad.
It's amazing what you can get for an extra $99 million.
What about the Mustang?
I think you better just go back to work.
Sorry for wasting your time. I'll be at my desk.
Ciao.
There's a lot more formats, but we found this small group to be the most effective. So when you're planning your content, you need to decide the niche, the content pillar, the video format. Once you've decided those three things, it's time to come up with a script. And then, depending on whether it's a voiceover video or a talking head video, you either need a full script for the voiceover video or just talking points for every other type of video. You can follow these general scripting rules. Number 1, use very simple language. Imagine you are speaking to a 12-year-old. A 12-year-old must be able to understand your script, and if that's the case, it's more likely to go viral, and that means it's written well. Rule 2, do not speak about one topic for too long. If you have multiple different topics or scenes in a video, move on between them in a fast pace. If you talk about one for too long, the video can get boring and you can lose viewers there. That transitions onto our next rule, which is keep the story moving at a fast pace. As you guys know, people's attention spans are absolutely cooked, so no one can really focus on one thing for too long. If your video is moving along at a very fast pace, you are more likely to keep the viewer engaged in your content. And lastly, if it's a voiceover video, try and match what the viewer is seeing and hearing as closely as possible. So that's how you film, edit, and plan and script videos. Everything you do under those 3 steps has to do with viewer retention. How social media platforms work: when you post a video, they show it to 300 people. And depending on how long each of those 300 people watch of your video, the platform then understands the quality of that content. For example, if it's a 1-minute video and all 300 people watch all 1 minute, which is basically impossible, that will never happen, that means it's a perfect video, which doesn't exist. But as an example, the platform will then show it to 3,000 people and take the same data. If the watch time, or how long people are watching the video for, is extremely high, the platform understands, okay, this is a good piece of content that people are watching the whole way through. That means more people will enjoy it, so let's show it to more people. And all social media platforms are governed by this rule because their one aim is to keep us, you and me, the viewer, on their platform for as long as possible. And they will do that by showing us content that we like and we will watch. So all 3 of these last steps are carefully crafted to maximize the retention on your videos. And there's probably 1,000 more rules and principles and a set of guidance that you could follow to really maximize viewer retention. And we've understood these and studied these over the last few years through the thousands of videos we've made. But at a basic level, if you follow these rules that I've just given you, you will be able to make viral content. Next up is directing. When it comes to filming, I'd say directing is equally as important. What does directing mean? It means that the person who's being filmed or the subject clearly understands what you as the videographer or director would like them to do in the video. The more clearly you can explain and convey this and execute on it, the better director you are. Great directing is really what separates you from a freelance videographer. Imagine hiring a personal trainer, going to the gym, and they don't push you. A client will respect you more if you direct clearly, in an assertive way, you push them to get great content, film, and you generally just direct properly. You may feel uncomfortable directing clients, but at the end of the day, the client will appreciate the effort. So now that you know how important it is to be a good director, how do you direct? The first things first is that as a director, when filming, you must have a clear expectation and vision in your head of exactly what you're expecting and what you would like the content to look like. How would you like it to look? How would you like it filmed? What would you like the subject to say? How would you like the subject to speak? How would you like the subject to sit? What should the subject be wearing? There's literally millions of different nuances when it comes to different options in videos, but the director must know exactly what he wants before he films. But that's not always the case. Maybe you don't know exactly what you want before you film, but as soon as you start filming, you very quickly get an understanding of what you would like, and you're able to convey that and communicate that to the subject or to the person or the client that you're filming in a way that's easy for them to understand, easy for them to internalize, and that most importantly, they're able to follow and help you execute on your vision. You want to really clearly and confidently communicate this to your clients or your subjects so that they understand and follow the first time. You need to be clear by speaking a bit slowly, speaking more clearly, and you can even reenact things yourselves. You can act things out to show them what you expect them to do. And on top of that, you must be confident. It's human nature that people will only be willing to follow or be directed by or led by somebody that's very confident and assertive. I'd say I'm generally quite a confident person, so I never really had an issue with this. But sometimes, maybe when I'm tired, I can't be bothered, I'm in an introverted mood, which happens to everyone, I may not be directing in a very assertive, strong way. And I found that the clients don't respond how I'd like them to. I'll give you one small example. Once I went to see a client and I said, oh, we have to, go out and do this shot and do this. And the client just completely ignored me. And it's nothing against him. I don't even think he heard me. But always stay respectful, very important. But you say, let's say I'm speaking to John. Hi, John. Good afternoon. I would like to film these 3 videos with you. I need you for 10 minutes. And we're going to start outside. Are you ready to get started? We can get going with the first one. Yes? Okay, come on, let's go. Now we go outside. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is walk here at this speed, look to the camera, say these words and talk about this. Then get here, stop, and then we're going to move on to this point. So, look at the way I was speaking there. That's how I speak to my clients. I always stay respectful, but I'm extremely assertive. If you're not confident or comfortable directing, it really comes down to believing that you are making great content, and that if your vision is followed, it will be the best outcome for everyone. And we talk more about this in the mindset part of this video, which is right at the end. But if you truly believe that I'm helping this person, I'm offering them value, if they follow me exactly, it will be so beneficial for them. You will naturally communicate more clearly, more confidently, more assertively, and really believe in what you're saying in a way that will make them follow it or more open to following you. Also, some more tips if you're not so confident and you feel uncomfortable telling people what to do is practice public speaking, get in the gym, be healthy, be strong. It allows you to be more confident. Go out. If you're a guy, go speak to some girls, do some cold approach on the street, get their numbers, get yourself out of your comfort zone a bit. And this will really help you become a great director. But having said that, I promise you, once you get your first viral video, you will have that confidence to go out there, direct, and clearly communicate exactly what you want because you know that it works. And just one more point on that. Imagine I had £1 million. My task was to go out and give it to a stranger on the street. How would I go and give that £1 million? I wouldn't be like, oh, excuse me, do you want this? I'd be relaxed, be comfortable, I'd be confident. I'd say, oh, hi, do you want this £1 million? The way I'd communicate would be completely different. When you're making somebody viral content, you're essentially doing that, but you're not giving them 1 million, you're giving them 10 million, 100, 1 billion. Yes, I know this sounds insane, but it's true because effective short form or long form content marketing is the most effective form of communication and marketing today. It's the modern day gold, and it really translates into power and money. So if you're doing something to facilitate that for somebody else, you're offering them with such immense value where you shouldn't be ashamed to tell them how it needs to be done. The reason they're working with you is because you are the expert in that field. They don't have time to sit there thinking about content, writing scripts. That's why they hired you. So don't be shy or afraid to direct people. Our agency has about 50 team members, and when videographers join for the first time, I often find that 99.9% of them, when they go to a client shoot, even if they're a confident person that's a great director, with the client, they all of a sudden become a little bit shy. And that's because our clients are literally billionaires. They have thousands of employees. The billionaires are all around 60 plus. They're old people. They have a certain aura, like it's crazy. The way they speak, they stand, the way they give instructions, they have this mad aura around them. And because they're billionaires, they tend to have the best offices in the world's best locations. So when we go to film with them, you'll usually be in this amazing location. The billionaire will be there. Let's say it's not work, let's say it's something else. They have the best houses in the world. Their houses are in the best locations. They have the best hobbies in the world. So you could go on their yacht. They travel in the best way. They basically travel just on private jets. They stay in the best hotels, eat at the best restaurants. They only do world-class things. It's also funny because the people who have been in our agency from the beginning are completely desensitized to this, and we're actually quite used to it. So when our new team members go into this new environment with a billionaire, or let's say someone worth a few $100 million, because it's basically the same thing. Even if they were confident before, they all of a sudden feel like really uncomfortable telling this boss, because that person is like literally a fucking boss, think about it, what to do. and they get all scared and they shit their pants. But one thing you need to understand is that in the context of you making content and filming that boss over here, you have the authority and the power to tell them what to do. And in fact, the more comfortable you are telling them what to do, the more they will respect you. I'll give you an example. Even these billionaires sometimes aren't perfect on camera, make mistakes, do something that's a bit awkward that needs to be reshot, or they're speaking and they have the voice cracks, which happens to everyone. It's just, you know, we're all human beings. It might be awkward to, in the moment, say someone's speaking, blah, 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 and there's a voice crack, and you might be awkward to say, oh, sorry, can you stop and re-say that? They will ignore it because a lot of the time they didn't even notice. And then once they move on, if you don't do it immediately and you wait a bit, the moment passes, and the more you wait, the more awkward it gets, and you can't really go back to that moment. And the easier option is to not say anything and just get that one video where their voice cracked. Oh, it's just a little voice crack. We can fix it in the edit, right? Wrong. You need to say, stop, please re-say that. And you know, even sometimes these billionaires are like, what? Like, why is this fucking little kid cameraman like telling me what to do? And they might have that reaction. It doesn't matter. Deep down, they think, wow, this individual is a complete professional. They're prioritizing my best interest, which is making me come across the best on content and social media. And then they'll redo it and they'll respect you way more. Sometimes I want to get a B-roll of my billionaire client having a meeting with his PA, and then his lawyer walks in and shakes his hand. And then, you know, when you're kind of reenacting stuff, sometimes it might be awkward, you might miss the handshake, something might happen, they might do something. I will just tell them to redo it. I say, no guys, please do that again. Whereas that's the harder option. The easier option, okay, just ignore it. We got the shot, it should be okay. We can fix it in the edit. And even sometimes the client, the billionaire, the person worth all this money with all this power can be like, oh, come on guys, because their time's worth a lot. They don't want to redo shit. You say, no, I don't care. You have to redo it. And then sometimes when they get really upset, I say, well, look, we don't have to. I just want to make you the best content. And then they have nothing to say. And in fact, after all of that, they respect you a lot. It's crazy that I basically left school at 16. I have a lot less money than these guys, but they all really respect me because in my craft of content creation, I am world class. I'm an industry leader. I am an expert. They really appreciate that and they really respect it. And that's why I can turn on my phone now and call maybe 10 billionaires around the world, which is crazy to say because I'm 25 and I'm able to do this because I mastered content. I'm going off on a tangent, but this comes back down to directing as one of the key elements of really showing my professionalism, that I care, and why these billionaires love working with me and people at our agency, because we are so comfortable in directing. And I've given you a few tips, but once you internalize the entire strategy and structure to be a great director, it's actually relatively straightforward. Another small example is that just a few weeks ago, one of my clients, that's a multi-billionaire and the founder of a company worth over $10 billion, had an event with 3,000 people. That event was to announce a project worth a few $1 billion. And so the event started, it was a long event. My client, the billionaire, went on stage, gave a speech. We had all of these crazy celebrities and very influential people from around the world come join the event. It was a crazy spectacle. I mean, there were 3,000 people there. It was insane. At the end of the event, my billionaire client was one of the last people to leave the venue. As he was leaving, I knew that on that shoot, we had a ton of B-roll of him, but we had basically zero A-roll. So I said to him, let's call him James. I said, James, look, why don't we now quickly do a little talking head / A-roll where you talk about the event and what's happened today? He said, no. And then basically, I think we filmed this. I can play the footage. I asked him like 20 times to do it. Each time he said, no, I'm tired. I lost my voice. By the way, he was saying, I lost my voice. He literally did lose his voice. It was crazy. He was saying, no, I'm tired. I lost my voice. I'm sweating. It's too noisy. He gave me 20 excuses, but I knew for a fact, obviously it's a great moment for him. He hosted 3,000 people to launch a multi-billion-dollar project. You know, it's something he's very proud of course, as you should be. And that he'll never be in this moment again, straight after the event, where he's able to recap it, talk about it, and share a little memory and create, you know, a recording which will act as a memory as well as the marketing for this great moment in his life. Each of the 20 times he said no, I said, yes, let's do it. And obviously, because he's a billionaire, he has an entourage of 5-6 people who just follow him around. He's standing there, I'm standing there, the whole entourage is around us. He says no, I say yes. He takes off the mic, gives it to me, says I'm not doing it. I take the mic back, I put it back on him. I say, yes, you are. And for me, I don't care. But you know, people with this, you'd feel uncomfortable. Even it's a bit awkward. It's like, what are you doing? He said no. But I know for a fact it's in his best interest because of multiple reasons to record there and then. It'll take 2 minutes. He'll have marketing material, which will make him, even though he's a billionaire, will make him more money. Forget all of that. He'll have a nice memory of a great moment in his life. And guess what? He eventually did it, and we ended up standing there for 10 minutes filming. And that's why, like, I can call that guy right now. It's like 1 a.m. I'll call him right now. He'll answer, say, yes, Yusuf, what's up? How can I help you? Because he really respects me and he really appreciates my presence in his life. And that's because I provide him with immense value, not just through the content creation, but really that when I work with him, I show that I'm an expert. I'm one of the best in the world at what I do, simply by the way I direct. And I push him to do what's in his best interest, even when he doesn't feel like it. And by the way, yes, I'm a confident person, but I wasn't always like this. During the years of us making content and the thousands of different videos we made and had to direct for, I learned a structure and a format and a set of rules and principles that I had to internalize that allow me to direct like with people that are worth billions of dollars in very high stakes, high pressure environments. And that's really what sets me and my agency apart from the rest of the world of small agencies or freelancers. Okay guys, so what have we covered so far? What do you need in terms of equipment and softwares? How to film, how to edit, planning video ideas and scripting and directing. All of these basically fall under the content creation side of the business. But now let's move on to the business side of the business. How I've turned these sets of skills and art into making millions of dollars. And that's with the business side of the agency. So let's get into that. So how do you use these skills to make money? It starts with what is step number 6 here, and that is closing your first client. This is actually my favorite step that I'm going to talk about today. Why is that? Because for 2 reasons. Number 1, it shows that literally anybody, no matter who you are or where you are, can go out and make money by selling short form content marketing services. Point 1. Point 2, also, this is exactly what I did to get my first clients. And funny fact, I still use these techniques to this day. In fact, earlier today, I was leaving the office here in Dubai. As I'm exiting, I see a very nice looking 2026 Rolls-Royce Cullinan in a dark green color. And I see the chauffeur standing there by the Rolls-Royce. So I went up to the chauffeur, I said, who's the owner? Where is he? When's he coming back? The guy said the owner's coming from the office in 2 minutes. Owner walks out. I went straight up to him. Hi, nice to meet you. Oh, in fact, we've met. Why? Because exactly a year before, I saw his car, went up to him and introduced myself. My name is Yusuf. I do this. This is how I can help you. Then he said, oh, great. I'm this person. He flexed on me a bit. He says, yeah, it's like that office is in the poshest, most exclusive building in Dubai. He says, yeah, I have 2 offices in this building. One there. And Google me, I'm on Forbes. Anyway, he flexed on me for a bit, like people do. And I said, great, let's work together. You want to film tomorrow? I took his number and this is the exact WhatsApp messaging thread we've had so far. Guys, this is how I'd close my first clients. When I had 0, I was doing this. And now, a few years later, when I'm making £400,000 a month, I do the exact same thing. I find it fun and there's literally no downside. So that's why I love this step. Closing your first client. It's just super fun. So let's get started. The first thing you need to realize if you're starting from 0 is that closing your first client is the easiest part about this business. The demand for short form content is essentially infinite. Why is that? 95% of businesses need content to market themselves. And every single business owner in that 95% know that they must be doing social media video marketing. That's because everyone now has an understanding how important video content is. TikTok basically made short form content mainstream in 2018. All the other platforms adopted it between 2019 and 2022, including Google with YouTube Shorts, Meta with Facebook and Instagram Reels, Snap with Spotlight, and even LinkedIn now is basically TikTok when you go on it. This happened a few years ago and now everybody understands, especially people in business, the importance of this, the power of this, and why they must be doing this. And the great news is that majority of them aren't doing this. Their social media isn't taken care of. They're not happy with their social media or content marketing, and they would love to have somebody like you come up there, take care of it for them, and they're more than willing to pay you for it, especially if you do it half decent and get them a positive return. That means closing your first client and just closing clients in general is one of the easiest parts of this business. And here are some ways you can do it. Point 1, cold calls. Find local businesses on Google, call them up, try get to the owner, pitch your services, and you can even try and book in free filming to go meet them, film, make some content and take it from there. The next one is emails, and it follows the exact same structure, but instead of calling, you email them. When I was starting out, I used to call and email the same businesses. Next up is cold DMs. This is actually one of my favorites because we've closed a few legends through cold DMs. Ahmed Amwell has the world's largest luxury supercar rental company. He was already famous on TikTok before we met him. So we did a cold DM. We said, look, you're a cool guy, but you should have a YouTube channel. At the time, we weren't based in Dubai. We said, we'll fly to Dubai. We'll film you an episode free of charge. We'll cover all the cost just to show you the quality. If you're happy, you can post it and we can take it from there. There's no strings attached. He literally had nothing to lose. And today, we make his content for him. He's a great client for us. He's very famous. Just reached over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, which as you guys know is like an amazing achievement. And this all happened through a cold DM. Another client of ours, Amir Nuran. Amir Nuran is a business leader worth hundreds of millions of dollars. This guy has like $40 million in hypercars. And by the way, I'd bet my life that he'll be a billionaire in the next 10 years. We saw a video of somebody doing donuts in a $5 million Koenigsegg Jesko attack. And we thought, who's doing that? They're crazy. This person's a legend. We found out it was Amir. We DM'd him, introduced ourselves, and over a year of following up later, we finally convinced him that we'll fly to Dubai. By the way, 3 of us flew here business class, which was I think £10,000 in tickets. We stayed here for a week at the Four Seasons, which was I think another £10,000-15,000 for the room. And so we invested almost £30,000 with zero guarantee of any return to come to Dubai, film with Amir. And the first day we shot with him, we closed him as a client. And now, let's just say that £30,000 we initially invested, we've made a very, very healthy return. This was last year. When we met Amir at the time, he only had less than 20,000 followers on Instagram. Today, he has close to 200,000 followers. And out of the first 10 videos we posted for him, I think 6 or 7 got over 1 million views. So those 2 great clients for us are 2 great case studies, and they both got closed through cold DMs. Next is referrals. Up until very, very recently, referrals was the main way we got most of our business. If somebody is paying you, let's say more than $2,000 a month to do their content, that means they have a decent sized business and they're relatively successful because they can afford to pay that. These types of people network and hang out with and are friends with other successful business people. They're all within the same kind of friend group. And the more you go up within this group, again, these guys all know each other. So if you do a half decent job for one of them, it's very, very likely, if you do a half decent job for them, it's known for a fact that all of their peers and friends and other business owner friends will watch that content. So if it's half decent, they will then ask them who's doing your content, and this person will usually be more than happy to refer you. And that's how we got lots of our business, through referrals. But having said that, and that's the low end of it, if you're making them viral content, then everybody they know will ask them who's doing your content, and then you'll get way more business. But in either situation, referrals is a key way to get more clients. Next up is content. This is actually the most powerful form of marketing, especially if you have results. If you have results and a decent set of clients, just make content about it. I'm sure you've all seen my short form content on Instagram. You can go watch it. I just show me, my clients, shooting with them, traveling around the world. I basically vlog, and other ultra high net worth people and a few billionaires, and let's just say 1 or 2 trillionaires, but I can't speak on that, saw that content. We closed deals with them, and yeah, it's a great form of marketing. But one of my favorite forms of getting clients, especially if it's the first time ever, is doing door-to-door sales. It's very straightforward. Go into your local, go into the city, go to the wealthiest neighborhood, go onto the high streets there, start walking into business after business. You have one aim: get in front of the business owner. You don't waste time with the receptionist, don't waste time with the cleaner, don't waste time with anyone that works there. These people don't have the power to pay you. You need to get in front of either the owner or a very, very, very senior manager. Then you pitch them your services, you tell them how you can help them. If you want to impress them, you can even have a look at their content before you get there, give them some pointers on what they could do better. And if they're still not convinced, say I'll do you a free trial. If you like the video, post it, you have nothing to lose. This is how I closed a lot of my clients, especially in the beginning. And my third client that I ever closed was a billionaire that I closed in this exact way. And the best part about that is I literally filmed it. You can watch that video here. There's a whole script and structure of exactly how to execute on door-to-door sales, which I will cover in a future video. Point 7, having the perfect offer. So you now know how to provide value and how to make content. Then you found people that you can help and that will pay you. Now you need to understand, what will you offer them? How will you package that value to have the best return for you and for them? The perfect offer means the client gets lots of value and is making a positive return on their investment with you, and whatever they're paying you, you are comfortable with and is worth it for you to invest enough time to get the client the results. That's the key. This must be a win-win situation. There can't be any losers in this equation. I've lost way too many times and learned the hard way. So that's something you guys should not do. You must understand exactly what your service is worth, what you should charge, and that comes from knowing how much value you can provide to your clients, and it goes vice versa. This is another topic that we can talk about for hours, but for the sake of this video, I just thought I'd mention it roughly, but this is key. This is one of the most important steps. Next up, point 8, servicing your client. Now, we're really gonna talk about what the client is paying for. How do you service and fulfill them every month to get them to pay you again and again and again and again, month after month? This is also extremely important. Why is that? Because this is really what separates you from just being a freelance photographer or somebody that just turns up, films, leaves and delivers videos, to somebody that truly understands that you are providing a service and you are an agency, you are a company that is providing this service and offering this value. This is how you're going to go from being a freelancer that's running in circles or having a small agency to having a legitimate business that's making 6 figures a month in profit. It starts with admin and communication. You must keep a constant communication with your client through whatever their preferred channel, and that can consist of multiple things like updates, planning for the future, reviewing what's been done, or giving feedback on what you guys have posted. Next up is stats and reports. If you want to offer a great service, part of what you should do is record what's been achieved so far, what kind of results you guys have had. Gather all the data and present it to your client at the end of each month. And lastly, you need to take that data, analyze what worked, dump what didn't, and double and triple down on the things that are working and that your viewers like to watch, and that most importantly are making your client the most amount of money. Next up is having regular meetings with the client. Depending on the client and the scope, you can have daily, weekly, monthly, or quarterly meetings. In the meeting, you can update the client, keep them in the loop about their project, understand their goals, set targets, and adjust any messaging or make any tweaks if needed. Next is filming plans. You should always present the client with a plan of exactly what's going to be shot a few days before the shoot. In fact, you should try to get this organized and confirmed as far as in advance as possible. This gives the client time to prepare mentally or physically if anything needs to be organized for the shoot. Also, you can jump on a call before the shoot with the client, go through the plan just to make sure everyone is on the same page so that you don't waste any time on the day of the shoot. We found that content and results is incredibly important, but something a lot of people don't realize and that has equal importance is the service you provide your clients. If you want to charge your clients $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, $100,000 a month, which we actually do with some clients, you must offer a premium service. Think about the Ritz-Carlton. What type of service do they offer when you go and stay there? You should have the same mindset in your agency if you want to work with the world's richest people and the world's biggest companies. Next up, growing your team. What you'll find is that you'll start getting clients easily and then your time will be filled up very quickly because this agency can be very time consuming. So that's why you must hire team members and start delegating responsibilities and tasks. So how do you grow your team? First things first, you need to set a vision. Create a roadmap, create a plan of action. Where will your agency be in 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months? Communicate this clearly with your own team. Culture is a very important part of any business, and that means that everyone in the company understands exactly why you're doing what you're doing. And part of that is sharing and explaining the goals and the vision of the company so that everyone understands that they're on the same mission to achieve the same goal. This way, they'll be a lot more willing and a lot more invested in the business and its success. Next up is training. If you want to hire staff, training is key. Hiring staff can backfire if you don't train them carefully to keep the standard that you set and your clients expect. Training is very straightforward. First, you write it down. Then you record yourself explaining it. First, the person should read it. Then they should watch it. Then they should watch somebody doing it in real life. Then somebody watches them. And finally, they are signed off to be able to do it by themselves. If this whole process takes between 2 to 4 weeks, if done correctly. Systems, SOPs, which stands for Standard Operating Procedures, and calendars and timetables are essential when building teams, training them, and scaling your agency. Hiring operators and freelancers can be crucial and really go a long way if you do it correctly. You'll find that when you want to build a team, it will generally follow this structure. The first person you'll hire is a virtual editor. Editing is extremely time consuming and you can very easily take that load off your shoulders, and you can do it in a very cheap way by hiring someone in India or the Philippines. You can use Fiverr or Upwork to find the virtual editor. In our agency, we personally use a great company called Holloway. We've been using them for years. They actually edit most of our content. They edit a lot of our content, and I'll put their contact in the description. You guys, I recommend it for your agency too. They're also very reasonably priced. And it's not just editing, they also do a lot of our admin, which is the second person you're going to hire, is a virtual admin staff. Admin and operations is essentially all the organization between the shoots and all the communication between you and the client. So once you have the editing part sorted, you need somebody to take care of admin. And again, this can be done relatively cheaply by hiring a virtual assistant. After that, the third person you'll hire will be in person. It will be a cameraman. You've delegated the editing, you've delegated all the admin. The next thing you can delegate is the filming. This can't be done virtually, of course, so you can hire somebody part-time or full-time in your city to come and join your agency and help you film. Well, all of these staff, when they first join, you'll have to thoroughly train them, test them, then sign them off when you're confident that they can take care of these tasks for you without your input at a standard that the client will be happy with and that you're happy with. After that, you can hire in-person editors, in-person admin, salespeople, HR, operations. There's a whole load more roles you can hire when you hit a certain size, but for the time being, all you really need to worry about is these three positions: virtual editor, virtual admin, and cameraman. With these three positions filled, you can have a very lean agency that's doing about 80% profit, actually up to around 100K a month. And then after that, if you want to know, you start hiring senior staff, people that are very experienced, a bit older, in their late 30s or 40s, that are used to managing teams below them, but that comes way down the line. One key thing you have to bear in mind is do not overhire. You must keep a very close eye on your costs at all times. The great thing about a content agency is that you can be profitable from day one. This business model must stay profitable at all times. Your margins can be between 50%, 85%, depending how efficiently you want to run, and to always make sure you have that profitability in the business and do not overhire. I personally made this mistake by having a wage bill of about £40,000 within the first 12 months of my agency. That's £40,000 a month, and I basically went bankrupt. But it's the best thing that ever happened to me because it taught me this harsh lesson the very hard way, but now it will never happen again. But for you guys, that's also why I really want to help you guys to avoid this simple mistake, which will actually cost you a lot. You've learned how to make content, you've learned how to find clients and scale your business. Now we're moving on to the next step, getting better, higher paying clients and using better offers, which means you will make more money with your clients. This is actually the question I get asked the most out of anything people want guidance online, because I found that a lot of you guys that have your own content agencies are stuck around the 10K mark and you have a handful of 1, 2, and 3K clients, and you really want to know, how do I get to the next step and get a single client to pay me 10K, which will basically be doubling your revenue with one client? The great news is, guys, this is actually very straightforward once you know how to do it. It also took me maybe a year to figure this out, but once I learned it, it really took my revenue to the next level. To get higher paying clients, you need to find better clients. That means you need to find businesses that make more money. They will have a larger marketing budget and that means they can afford to pay you more. And it's actually crazy that it's easier to keep a client paying you 10K happy than it is to keep a 1K client happy. Why is that? If a client is paying you 1K, you could reasonably assume that their business's revenue is 10,000 a month. And so when they pay you 1K, that's 10% of their revenue going to your services. By the way, that's a huge chunk of someone's revenue. 10% is a lot. That could, for example, be your local dessert shop. Whereas if you go and close an online e-commerce business that's doing $1 million a month revenue and they pay you 10,000, that's not 10% of their revenue, it's 1%. Which is a lot smaller than 10%. So think about it. The guy paying you 1K is paying you 10% of what he makes. The guy paying you 10K is paying you 1% of what he makes. That means the 10K to this guy is a lot of a smaller deal than the 1K is to this guy. So you'll find when you get to these clients on this level that maintaining this guy, keeping him happy and retaining him for a long time is actually a lot easier than keeping the 1K client. So now that you understand that, how do you find these types of clients? It's very straightforward. Step one, you should start a social media for your agency. You can see our Instagram is called Tilted Needle and we don't actually have that many followers, but you'd be surprised the quality of people that have contacted us through our Instagram. It's literally insane. I'm talking people worth hundreds of millions. Step number two, start your personal brand. It's crazy. I started the agency, let's say 3 years ago. The first year, it wasn't an agency, it wasn't a business. I was going around like a freelancer making content. Year two is when we turned it into a business. We started hiring staff, making systems, and really scaling. But only in year three is when we took my personal brand seriously. I only have about 6,700 followers, which is actually very low. But having said that, it's literally insane. The people we've met, the clients we've gotten from this following. Let me explain something to you. You might start with a millionaire client. Then you might find a client worth 100 million. Then if you keep going and you follow everything we teach, you'll find clients worth billions. And when we got to that stage, we thought, wow, we have billionaire clients. This is great. Until we started our personal brand and we closed a trillionaire client. That might sound insane. You might think I'm crazy or I'm chatting shit, but just know trillionaires exist. These are the guys that own countries. But once you have that much money, you do not want anyone to know. It is not publicly recorded that these people exist, but trust me, they do. And we've officially upgraded from a billionaire client to a trillionaire client. The crazy thing is, I can't really speak about this. It's very, very sensitive. And I think we're like 2 hours into this YouTube video, so not very many people are gonna see this. But just guys who are watching this, please don't clip this shit because I will be fucked. My whole point is definitely start a personal brand. This will bring you lots of leads and really take your agency to the next level. And it's retarded. Your agency is making content for people to grow their businesses and make them more money. You are your own most important client. You should definitely be doing that service for yourself. You'll often get very busy with client work and your own content won't be a priority. Trust me, I've been inconsistent this whole time. But every time I get consistent and I start posting, it reminds me of how powerful it is to post content and market your own agency. Step three is show before and after results of people and businesses before they worked with you, what you did for them, and the after. Yes, a monthly retainer is nice. Someone might pay you 10K a month. 10K is a lot of money. They might pay you 50K a month, which we have clients that do that. Again, 50K, a lot of money. There's only so much you can make with the retainer deals. Even if you're getting a retainer for $1 million a month, which is definitely possible, and we will have clients like that in the next year or so, there's still a cap on it. If you have a commission deal, that means there's no cap on how much you make. The more money you make your client, the more money you can make. It's based on a percentage. And commission deals are a lot more comfortable for people because they see that you have earned that money and they are more willing to give you 50K, 100K a month if it's through a commission rather than just a flat fee. So depending on what stage you are at your agency, always try to do commission deals. The one sticky thing about this is tracking the commission. How do we know what revenue you produced versus general revenue? But that's a whole nother story for another day of exactly how you do that. Next up is referral deals. It's a form of commission. It's a form of commission for each client or customer you bring or that you refer. You get a percentage of what they spend or what the company makes. These are basically making introductions. Step 6, affiliate deals. It's the same principle, guys. The more money you make for your client or their business, the more you get paid. But this is all based on the traffic and the revenue you bring them directly. Next up, equity deals. If it's a small business and you have very strong results, there's a chance you can take equity in that business. This is the smartest thing you can do. Retainers are great. Commissions are great. But where you can make some real money is if you have equity in a business that eventually exits for a large sum. Equity deals are great, and we've had a few of them. That means we own 1 or 2% of companies that we are now helping market, which means the company will be very successful. And in 5 to 10 years, those companies can sell for hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, and all of a sudden your 1% is worth a lot of money. Next up, target corporate clients. Corporate clients are companies that tend to be doing hundreds of millions or billions in revenue, and they have very large marketing budgets. So if you know how to get in front of these clients, you can make a lot of money with them. Next up is upselling on slow months. If you're having a quieter month with a bit less revenue than you would like or that you are used to, you can sell other services like influencer marketing, paid ads, websites, apps, etc. Always try and see where you can upsell clients, current and future clients. That leads me on to my next point, expanding your services. So when you start a content agency, you will make video content, a set amount of monthly deliverables for a set fee. And you'll often find that a very easy service to offer next is influencer marketing. Influencer marketing is very effective and it can generate a lot of business and revenue for companies. How does it work? You can take an influencer to a business, get them a deal where they make a post, do a collab post or do a story or some sort of promotion for a set fee. And then once they get paid, you get a small percentage from the influencer. Some of our clients are very big influencers and we often bring them brand deals for $30,000, $50,000, $100,000. And we take 10 to 15% of what they make. And at the end of the month, that really adds up towards our income. But sometimes even also charge the business to go out and find them influencers. But you'll make more money when you take it from the influencer side. When it comes to charging the business, you can charge a small fee for sourcing influencers. Next up is offering websites and apps. All of your clients need a nice website and some of them will want to build apps. These are two avenues where you can have a really high margin. Always be willing to sell people websites and apps. What we do is when we get a website or app client, we use Holloway. They're great. They've built some of the best websites in the world. They always give us a reasonable price. And then we go and charge our client double. How that works is that you hire a freelancer or a company like Holloway, you add your margin and then you sell that to your client, whether it's a website or an app. Next up is paid ads. Organic content is great, but depending on the product or the service, if you do paid ads, you can really generate millions in revenue for that business. That's exactly what we've done for our billionaire client that has a publicly listed company. Organic is great, but do not underestimate paid ads. Paid ads is especially effective if you have really strong organic content. If you have no one in your team that can do paid ads, you can very easily outsource this. Find somebody, a freelancer that's decent at paid ads, make them sign an NDA, get them to sign a contract. It's very important. And then once that's locked in, you can use them to service your client's paid ads account. And lastly, you can build the entire funnel for your clients to make them more money. So if they're an e-commerce business, if they're an education business, if it's a service business or a product, you can build the entire funnel from content, ads, the landing page and the checkout process. Create the entire funnel and you can either take equity in that or a percentage of the revenue generated from that. So if you want to get better clients, guys, market your own services. And if you want to make more money with these clients than just a retainer, you can offer all these other services and make sure you negotiate a good deal for yourself. This is crucial. You can go out and find 10K clients. We've done that. It's possible. It might sound crazy to you, but it is possible. Or you find 10K clients, negotiate fair deals where you will genuinely help them make millions of dollars. And through those 2 clients, you can make that same 100K. Or find the 10 clients, negotiate that with all of them and make 5 million a month. It's up to you. None of anything I've spoken about today will be possible without this final step. I'll be honest, when I first started out, I thought this was all bullshit. I didn't believe a word of any of it. And I thought it was a complete waste of time. That's until I started making some decent money. But more so, when I started hanging out with billionaires around the world and traveling with them and having them mentor me, the one subject that would come up time and time again, the one lesson they'd all teach me that was uniform. They're all very different people with very different lives, but the one lesson they'd all teach me was to do with the mindset. So what does that mean? You must believe you deserve more money, more clients, and more success. If you do not truly believe you deserve this, you will limit yourself and never be in this situation. Even if life hands you the opportunity on a golden platter, you will somehow sabotage it and not execute or take advantage of it if you don't truly believe you deserve it. That is one of the main things when it comes to going from clients paying you 3K a month to 15K a month. You must truly believe you deserve it. Not in some fairy land or with fairy dust, but knowing that you provide enough value where you truly deserve to be making this type of money with these types of clients. Next up, setting targets. You must set financial targets. A first common one is $10,000 a month. Then it might go to $25,000 a month. Then $50,000 a month. Then $100,000 a month plus. For example, my current target is to be making £5 million a month profit. And I believe, and I know for a fact, by the end of 2026, I will be doing exactly that. But what's key is that I must believe I deserve it. And then on top of that, I must set the target. I must have a goal in mind. I know what I want to work towards and the action points and strategy to get there. It's not just money. You can also have goals in your fitness, family, education, skill sets, or pretty much anything. Setting goals is extremely important, and all of my billionaire clients talk about both of these points: mindset and setting goals. Point 3, dressing well. If you want luxury clients paying you 5 to 6 figures a month, you must be presentable. You must look like somebody that already makes this type of money, somebody that's used to this type of money. Next up is speaking well. I'll give you guys a quick lesson because I could literally talk about this whole point of dressing well and speaking well for like 6 hours through how I learned it by going from basically nothing to working with billionaires, and how this is actually really correlated and integrated into that. I'll tell you this. If there's a client and you're making him $1 million a month by charging him 10K. So you say to the client, I'll charge you 10K for this service. If you pay it, you'll make an extra $1 million. Do you think that client will say yes to that? Of course, it's a no-brainer. But before you close that deal, I'm making $500 a month is what you're currently sitting at, and you go and you tell the client, okay, pay me 10K, I'll bring you $1 million. The client just won't feel right paying you 10K. They'll feel a bit uncomfortable. Even though it does not make any sense logically to not pay you that money, right? It just won't sit right with them. Why? Because you're not used to it. You don't deserve it. You don't look like somebody that can make 10K. They're just not comfortable with it. If that was really true, why aren't you making 100K already? If it's that simple, which is obviously wrong, but it's the case. And that comes through how you dress, how you speak, how you act, where you go out, where you socialize, where you eat, the shoes you wear. And it could be a bit difficult in the beginning. You might not have access or know about these things, but it's all about understanding it and slowly growing over time, but being aware that this is an important factor. It will really help you get to the next level as quickly as possible. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. All these guys worth hundreds of millions and billions, they're like a private society and a private club, and they really don't like speaking to or doing business with people that aren't in their club. And one way you can get there quicker is by dressing like them, speaking like them, and acting like them. On another point of speaking well, no matter the environment, you must stay professional at all times. Never use informal language. Always stay professional. Always stay formal. This leads to the next point. Always stay professional on a shoot. As I mentioned earlier in this video, me and my team do the craziest shit on this planet. Imagine the Wolf of Wall Street times 100. These guys really do this stuff. When we film content for their personal brands, we're sitting next to them in these situations, and sometimes we're thinking, what the fuck is going on? How did we end up here? But no matter what happens, we always stay extremely professional. I'll give you a small example. Say I'm flying 12 hours with a client on a private jet and they only have a G450, so they can't quite make that 12 hours. So you start your trip, you're filming, you go, you land at an airport about 70% of the way for the jet to refuel. Sometimes you have to get off the plane, whatever. You might have to get off the plane to stretch your legs or whatever might happen, because the refueling might take 15-20 minutes, so everyone wants to get off. In that situation, it'd be very easy to join the client, their family and their friends, go to the airport lounge. Everyone will be sitting down, drinking coffee, they'll be tired, they've been traveling. You'd assume, oh, okay, look, everyone's chilling, right? It's been a long travel day. Let me sit down here with the client, right? I'm with this group, this is what's happening right now. No, that's exactly what you don't do. You have two options in this situation. Point 1. Go get B-rolls. Use this downtime to go out, get extra shots of the plane or whatever you might need while they're waiting. Point 2, if there's no B-rolls to get, You stay out of sight, not far away. You should still be able to see the client just in case they need you, but you should be standing out of sight, ready and professional. Think of it like you're their bouncer, you're the security. You're not going to go start chilling with them. Don't assume that the client's downtime is an opportunity for you to go and chill and it's your downtime too. This might sound a bit extreme, but having this level of professionalism with our clients is why they love working with us, and which is why we've kept our billionaire clients for years, because we offer the best service at every single level and interaction, including the filming. Moving on to integrity. Always be fair, always focus on actually providing value and helping people, helping your clients win, and just generally have a value-based mindset. Don't try to leech or see how much money can I make from this. Your mindset should always be, how can I help this person make the most amount of money? There's limits to that, but when you're starting out, that should generally be your mindset, and that's how you will get to the furthest position. Having said that, moving on to the last point, do not ever undervalue your services. Yes, you want to provide as much value as possible, but once you're aware of the value you're providing, set prices and stick to them. Don't be desperate for clients. Understand the results and the impact you've had for businesses. At the end of the day, you're not operating a charity. If you make half decent content, that content will result in millions in sales for your clients. So you deserve a piece of the pie. Know your worth, work with respectful clients, be willing to walk away and build strong and fair relationships. Okay guys, so that was the outline of starting, running and scaling your agency A to Z. It's taken me 3 years, hours of hard work and hundreds and thousands of mistakes to learn this shit. And basically, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Every single point I made today, we can discuss for hours because there's literally thousands of nuances. I hope you guys use this value and use this information. Go out there, depending on what step you're at, implement the next steps that I taught and take it to the next level. I could do it, you could definitely do it too. And I'm very happy to announce and share that I've just launched my mentoring program. I'm offering group coaching sessions and one-on-one sessions where I can understand your guys' situation, what your goals are, and really help take you to the next level. Especially if you're either wanting to start an agency or scale your agency from 10, 20, 30K a month to over £500,000 a month revenue like I have. Click the first link in the description, fill out the form. My team will be in contact and we'll see if we can work together.